The fatal shot wasn't where the Warren Commission said it was, and we've known it for 60 years. Dealey Plaza, Dallas, November 22, 1963, 12:30 in the afternoon. I've studied the photographs myself, the ones taken just before the ones that came after. The limousine is moving slowly down Elm Street, Kennedy's waving, Jacqueline's in that pink suit, and then in less than 6 seconds, the President of the United States is dead. But here's what bothers me. The official story about how it happened has been crumbling for decades, and most people never noticed. Let me back up. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested within hours. A former Marine, defector to the Soviet Union, worked at the Texas School Book Depository overlooking the plaza. The rifle was his. He was found in a Dallas theater 2 hours later, armed. To the public, the case seemed closed before the sun set, but the evidence, when you actually examine it, tells a different story entirely. Abraham Zapruder was a businessman. He brought his 8mm camera to watch the motorcade home movie camera, nothing fancy. He filmed 26 seconds. That footage, silent and jerky, would become the most scrutinized film in American history. And it shows something the Warren Commission couldn't explain away. The president's head moves backward violently after the fatal shot. Physics doesn't lie. If Oswald fired from behind, the impact should have driven Kennedy's head forward. But the film and the autopsy photographs show it snapping back. I've read the ballistics analyses myself. Multiple investigators, independent of each other, reached the same conclusion: a shot from the front, possibly more than one shooter. The Warren Commission was established 9 days after the assassination. Chief Justice Earl Warren headed it. They had a mandate: reassure the nation. Oswald was already dead. Jack Ruby had shot him in a police basement, live on television 2 days after his arrest, so there was no trial, no cross-examination, just a report designed to close the door. But the Zapruder film complicated things. The commission knew about it, they examined it, and then they concluded, against what the film actually showed, that Oswald acted alone. They called it the single bullet theory. One round fired from behind, it enters Kennedy's back, exits his throat, then somehow changes direction midair and strikes Governor Connally in the chest, wrist, and thigh. I've watched that trajectory. It defies geometry. The autopsy itself was rushed, incomplete. The pathologists never saw the president's brain tissue preserved in the archives. Key photographs went missing. The skull X-rays were never compared against independent radiologists. I've covered enough military inquiries to recognize when a process is designed to reach a predetermined conclusion rather than discover the truth. In 1979, the House of Representatives reopened the investigation. They hired acoustics experts to analyze a police recording from Dealey Plaza. The experts found evidence of a fourth shot, a shot that shouldn't exist if Oswald was the only gunman. The committee concluded there was probably a conspiracy. Then they closed the case anyway. No follow-up, no names, just a probability and silence. Oswald himself remains an enigma. His defection to the Soviet Union, his return to America, his employment at the book depository, all of it raises questions. Who arranged his job? Why was he hired so easily? What was his actual political allegiance? The FBI had interviewed him before the assassination. The CIA had him under surveillance. Yet somehow, a man with that profile walked into a building with a clear shot at the president. The Zapruder film was seized by the government. For years, the public couldn't see it. When it was finally released, independent analysts found frames that contradicted the official narrative. The film was allegedly altered, or so some researchers claimed. Others said the government lost or destroyed original footage. The truth is, we'll never know what we're missing because we don't have access to everything that was filmed that day. 60 years later, documents remain classified. The full autopsy records weren't released until 2017. Even now, certain files are redacted. The official story, Oswald alone, acting on impulse, requires ignoring ballistics, ignoring physics, and ignoring the testimony of eyewitnesses who heard shots from multiple directions. I've investigated enough cover-ups to recognize one when I see it. What happened in Dealey Plaza that day? We know Kennedy died. We know Oswald was arrested and killed. We know the nation was traumatized, but the how and the why, those remain contested. The Zapruder film shows us the moment of death, frame by frame, but it doesn't tell us who pulled the trigger from the front. And that silence, that gap between evidence and explanation, is where a nation's doubt took root. The assassination changed America. It shattered the assumption that the presidency was untouchable. It planted seeds of suspicion that still grow today, and it demonstrated something I've seen repeatedly in my career. When power has something to hide, the truth becomes negotiable. The Warren Commission wasn't necessarily wrong about everything, but it was incomplete. And incompleteness, when it comes to a president's death, is itself a kind of lie. We may never know the full truth about November 22nd. The ballistics suggest multiple shooters. The film suggests a front shot. The evidence suggests a cover-up. But without access to everything, without the complete autopsy, the missing photographs, the classified intelligence files, we're left with fragments. And fragments, no matter how carefully examined, don't always add up to certainty. What we do know is this: the official story doesn't fit the physical evidence. The Zapruder film contradicts the single bullet theory. The acoustic analysis suggests a second shooter. And the systematic classification and redaction of documents suggests someone had reasons to keep details hidden. Whether those reasons were national security, institutional embarrassment, or something darker, that remains the question. The assassination of President Kennedy remains the most investigated murder in American history. Yet it's also the one where the most basic questions still lack definitive answers. That paradox that the more we look, the less certain we become, is itself a kind of truth. It tells us that someone, somewhere, made the choice to keep the record incomplete. The Zapruder film remains 26 seconds of grainy, silent footage that captured the moment America changed. Every frame has been analyzed, enhanced, questioned, and reinterpreted, and yet it still refuses to tell the whole story. It shows us what happened, but it doesn't tell us why, and in that gap, doubt persists. 60 years of investigation, thousands of documents released, ballistics experts, acousticians, historians, and conspiracy theorists all weighing in, and still we don't have certainty. We have fragments, we have contradictions. We have a film that shows us the moment but not the cause. We have an official story that doesn't fit the evidence. And we have the enduring doubt of a nation that watched its president die and was never quite sure it was told the truth. Subscribe, we examine the unsolved cases where the official story still doesn't match the evidence.